Today, we're exploring the haunting and tragic case of Anneliese Michel, a young woman whose life and death became one of the most infamous stories of alleged demonic possession in modern history. Strap in, because this story is not just about the supernatural, it's about faith, mental health, and the devastating consequences of fear and misunderstanding. Our story begins in Bavaria, Germany. Anneliese Michel was born on September 21st, 1952, in a small town called Labelfing. By all accounts, she was a kind, quiet, and deeply religious young girl. Her family, devout Catholics, raised her with strong moral values and a profound connection to their faith. But her life took a dark turn when she turned 16. It started subtly: blackouts, strange sensations, and moments she couldn't explain. Soon she began experiencing full-blown seizures. Doctors diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition that can cause hallucinations, paranoia, and even hyper-religious delusions. At first, she sought treatment like anyone would. She was prescribed medication, including anti-seizure drugs, but instead of improving, her symptoms became more bizarre. Anneliese began seeing terrifying visions, dark, shadowy figures, and hearing voices telling her she was damned and rotting in hell. Imagine being a devout young girl, your world built on faith, and suddenly, the very foundation of your beliefs becomes a source of torment. For Anneliese, this was her reality. She became convinced that she was possessed by something dark, something evil, and she wasn't alone in that belief. Her parents, deeply religious themselves, began to suspect the same. They reached out to their local church for help, but the Catholic Church was cautious. At that time, exorcisms weren't handed out lightly. The church advised the Michels to continue seeking medical treatment, believing Anneliese's condition might be psychological or neurological. But nothing seemed to help. In fact, things only got worse. By 1975, Anneliese's condition was spiraling. She developed an extreme aversion to religious objects. Family members reported that she couldn't bear to be near crucifixes or holy water. She also began behaving violently, lashing out at loved ones, eating insects, and drinking her own urine. Her family was desperate. They believed no earthly medicine could save her. They needed divine intervention. Enter Father Ernst Alt and Father Arnold Renz, two priests who were eventually convinced that Anneliese's condition was not medical, but spiritual. After much deliberation, they obtained permission from the Bishop of Würzburg to perform the Rituale Romanum, the official Catholic exorcism rite. Over the next 10 months, Anneliese underwent 67 exorcism sessions. Yes, you heard that right. 67. These were not quiet, solemn ceremonies. They were intense, often lasting hours. Witnesses reported that during these sessions, Anneliese would contort her body in unnatural ways, speak in voices that didn't sound human, and claim to be possessed by multiple entities, including Lucifer, Judas Iscariot, Cain, and even historical figures like Nero. Audio recordings from the exorcisms reveal her growling, screaming, and mocking the priests in chilling tones. The priests believed they were in a battle for her soul, but as the exorcisms dragged on, Anneliese's body began to give out. Here's where the story takes a tragic turn. Anneliese had stopped eating, convinced that fasting would purify her and drive out the demons. Her parents and the priests, focused on the spiritual battle, didn't intervene. By July 1st, 1976, Anneliese Michel was dead. She weighed just 68 pounds at the time of her death. The official cause: malnutrition and dehydration. Her death sparked an outcry, and her parents and the two priests were charged with negligent homicide. The trial, held in 1978, was a media sensation. The prosecution argued that Anneliese had been severely mentally ill and that her life could have been saved with proper medical care. The defense maintained that Anneliese was indeed possessed and that she had begged for the exorcisms, believing it was the only way to free herself. They presented chilling audio recordings from the exorcisms as evidence, hoping to convince the court of the supernatural forces at play. In the end, the court found the priests and parents guilty, but their sentences were suspended. They received fines and probation, but the case left the world divided. Was Anneliese Michel a victim of demonic possession? Or was she failed by the very people who were supposed to protect her? Skeptics argue that her symptoms align with epilepsy, psychosis, and schizophrenia, conditions poorly understood at the time. Believers, however, see her as a martyr, someone who fought evil with everything she had. To this day, Anneliese's grave in Klingenberg is a site of pilgrimage. Her story inspired the 2005 film The Exorcism of Emily Rose, bringing her tragic tale to a global audience. So, what do you think? Was Anneliese Michel a victim of a rare and horrifying supernatural event? Or was her case a cautionary tale about the dangers of ignoring mental health in favor of spiritual beliefs? Whatever your stance, her story serves as a chilling reminder of the complexities of faith, fear, and the human mind. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Haunted Echoes. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you enjoyed this story, or if it kept you up at night, share it with a friend. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and watch out for the things that go bump in the night.